Welcome back to Court and Soul. Very special guest today, near and dear to my heart. Very successful coach, and he coached me for 2 years. So Ajay, welcome to Court and Soul.
Hey, Aish, long time no talk.
I appreciate you taking the time to come on here because I've asked you so many times and you always say no. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm still actually not sure I want to do it, but sure.
I'm not going to say anything about you wearing a Ronaldo shirt on the first day of opening games for us.
You just said it.
So don't even worry about it. Actually, one of the reasons I really wanted to bring you on was, first of all, I do look up to you as a coach. You were a big mentor for me, and I definitely am where I am today in the basketball world because of you. So shout out to you for that. But another part is you're probably one of the only coaches, actually I'll throw Pearson in there, that really knows how to take someone that hasn't perfected their shot yet or has some kinks or wrinkles in it and clean it up. So one of the first things I want to ask you was, when you look at someone's shot for the first time, what are the first things you're evaluating, and what's the most important piece in the shooting motion?
Yeah, well, it depends. I think it really depends on who it is and what stage of their shot development they're at. But if it's somebody that's shooting the ball fairly well from a percentage standpoint, like, so if they're mid 30s to 40. I don't really do a lot except just more reps, more variables in terms of, like, well, how can we get you to shoot off the dribble a little bit? How can we get you to shoot in a movement catch type of thing? So just advancing what they already do well. Now, if it's somebody that's struggling, I look for tendencies. I look for consistency in the type of miss. The miss tells me more than the make. So are they front rimming? Is it coming out of the side of their hands? Is the ball ricocheting off the rim pretty hard? And then I just sort of go to a checklist of things that could be affecting those outcomes and mistakes. Mostly it starts with the feet, like you can tell by the way the ball misses if sometimes feet create too much energy. Sometimes what you're doing with your feet, and a lot of times it's with athletic players, they just generate so much energy from the floor that the ball takes off out of their hand and they don't really have control at the top of it. So just getting them to quiet their feet, I call it, like quiet your approach in terms of your footwork to your shot, and then looking at what they do at the top of the shot. And I used to be a big form guy, but now I'm more just create rhythm in your mechanics and make sure your feet are connected to the floor, and that you're finishing at the top of your shot, but all through rhythm. Don't interrupt rhythm while looking for the perfect grip, basically.
If you're at the grassroots level in your first teaching, like my daughter's 5 years old, obviously right now the ball's too big for her, but as she gets older, what are some things parents can look to do to help their kids build their shot versus having to correct it later on?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, that's a great one. I think we make a lot of mistakes wanting a young player, a smaller player, to be able to really shoot the 3-point shot, and that's going to be an indicator that they're going to be a great shooter if they're making them as a young player. It's not. You could do a lot more damage to a player's mechanics and muscle memory in their shot by allowing them to shoot a 3-point shot incorrectly. So to answer your question in short, don't shoot from far distances initially until you feel like the form is locked in. They've been able to, 8 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet, whatever it is, they've been able to master, or not master, but at least feel like that form is consistent. And the ball is their hand is underneath the ball, because when little kids shoot from far away, their hand doesn't get under the ball. It's more like a pass to the rim versus that shot where your hand is, sitting underneath the ball. So
yeah, they end up on like 1 foot somehow. They're like skipping forward.
yeah. So I know in certain countries they wouldn't, they don't allow kids to shoot 3-point shots until 15 years old, till their bodies have fully developed and they're strong. Pardon me?
You agree with that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's hard to do because there's just, we don't regulate coaching in this country as much as we should. And
Mhm.
so people are just really doing what they feel like they should be doing. And it's almost like they're chasing a popularity contest with like grade sevens and eights, and they can hit the three and therefore they'll be good. You might be doing more damage than you think. So,
Are
um,
you
and
sure?
another one I had a chance to coach against, but also speak to Andre Bagnani, who played in
It's
Toronto.
crazy. That was the next thing I was going to bring up.
The story.
Yeah, because they
Yeah,
were in Italy and you brought it up, and I wanted you to talk about that.
yeah. So I wanted to get a sense of what they did with Bargnani when he was a younger player and how they trained him. And the one thing they said is that they never let him shoot tired or fatigued as a young player, because and we say that all the time, that game shots, fatigue shots, and sure, but when you're instructing and you're teaching, and you're concerned about form and mechanics, fatigue will make a player go to poor mechanics or old mechanics, and then you've reset and you're starting all over again. So they would actually not allow him to shoot fatigued and said, okay, well, you don't have it today, go home, get your rest, and then come back tomorrow when you're fresh and we'll pick it up from there. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely. I remember. I think we were in Italy when you told us that story.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it was
yeah,
perfect timing for it.
yeah.
So I think a lot of
Were we eating?
we're always eating.
Yeah,
It's an essential.
some
It's an
pizza,
essential. Wait, what's your favorite Italian dish?
I don't have one. I think it's, you put it on, if it's in Italy and you put it on the table, it's my favorite. That
Amazing.
includes the desserts. So
Some people are going to enjoy that.
yeah.
So a lot of athletes think player development is just, what we're talking about, getting more shots up, hitting that three, spending more time in the gym. But in your mind, what separates skill development from true player development?
Yeah. So I think skill development, you know, I think in the best cases, it's isolated. You're not trying to do 100 things or become good at 100 things. You're isolating one or two things as for that player in their game to improve upon. It's not necessarily about fitness. I found that a lot of the player development stuff that goes on is that it looks like it's more of a workout, it's more of a sweat and activity sort of over a strategy or intelligence type of thing. And uh, you know, where thoughtful, intentional, and real improvement type sessions are just, it's conversation based, it's medium speed, but you're really isolating some of the issues, and trying to get those things worked out. The other thing is it should solve a problem for the player. Like I think we just do a lot of like, you know, let's get in the gym for 45 minutes and sweat, and there's a place for that. And there's definitely um that's not in any way not going to benefit a player, but at the same time, are you really working on what's going to make that player play basketball better, right? So sure, we can get shots up and reps, but if there's still something mechanically wrong with the person's shot, then all you're doing is just practicing poorly, I think. So identifying what problems you're helping that player solve in their game. And so a lot of times the players don't know what the problem is. And so that's all conversational base. If you can show them in film, you show them in film. And then you just really like slowly start with the end in mind. Think about where you want this player to be in a month or 2 months after working with you, and then kind of work backwards to see where do we need to start now. If that's what we want, where do we need to start to get to that? And the other thing is, I think part of player development is the person, and how do you make this person more confident? How do you make this person enjoy working out? Because if you enjoy it, you're going to do it more often. You're going to be that much more focused during it. And yeah, so just really working on that person and their confidence in the game too.
So back to the grassroots level, if a player is looking to get better, and not to disrespect anyone, but skills trainers are like a dime a dozen. Everyone's a skill development, skill trainer, whatever it is. How do you find someone that you believe will properly develop you? Like, are there questions you ask? Do you go in and basically say, this is what I want to get better at? Or do you let someone that's supposed to be the professional in that space dictate it?
I think it could be collaborative. I think you can, I think a good skill development trainer will look at your film and look at your stats and say, okay, well, for your position, you're not performing at a level where you should be in this area of basketball or this area of basketball. And so, you know, taking a collaborative approach with the player, I think is the best solution. Um, a lot of times we get them to become good at the drills we've designed, but that doesn't necessarily mean they've improved a skill of basketball. All they did is develop a skill for that drill.
Mm.
But does that translate to the game? You know, you look at end of game scenarios, and while I marvel at the people that can do it consistently, a lot of times it's just very simple catch and shoot threes or catch and shoot, elbow pivot shoot. Like you look at the shot Wemby missed in game 2 the other day, and it's such a makeable shot. And but putting any sort of pressure you can in those scenarios, and repping those with in some intensity where the person will be stressed. It doesn't mean they need to be stressed for 45 minutes or 10-12 reps in a row. It can just be 3 really intense reps at that specific shot, and then you move on. So I don't know if I answered your question or not.
That was perfect. Joy. I feel like joy is something very important, and that's longevity, especially within the women's game. And, we've had girls that came into our program when we were coaching together that kind of lost a bit of that fire. What are some things you do within your own culture that you like to cultivate that helps, keep the joy alive, especially when there's such a high drop off rate for males?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's like super complicated. I think we look at the person and we know that the person's wounded, has been wounded by the game. And you kind of put your arm around them. You show them that you're there to help them get better. And we keep it light. Like we don't, it's never this like beat them over the head scenario situation. It's more like, hey, let's just work hard for the next 40, 50 minutes. And then let's just relax and enjoy the time that we just spent together, and move on from basketball. And I think that's really helped our athletes. Not, you never want to feel like your athletes walk through that gym door and they're like, oh my God, I got to do this again. Or what's he going to say to me today? Or, like, how am I going to handle missing the first 2 shots? It's never about that. And I think it's really just about like, can you get them to enjoy the environment that they're training in, and want to be there every day? And if they're going to be there every day, they're going to get better.
Right. And I think the joy comes with that as well. When you feel like someone's invested in you.
Yeah.
It's an important piece.
And the joy comes from also them feeling like I got better today, or I feel like a different player after 3 sessions or 4 sessions. Right. And so they connect that.
So what are some non-negotiables though that have to be present? Because as much as like you don't want it to be, ball is life attitude, you still need some non-negotiables to create like a strong culture.
This is a tricky one because I don't ever feel like I want to impose myself or impose the team on somebody and say, you must change. We don't, we're not looking for somebody to change, because we know they'll be different through the experience with us 3 or 4 years. So it's like we allow them to bring their whole self to the team activities and the practices or whatever. And, slowly along the way, people mature and people start to see the world in a different way, and their place in the world. And I think the biggest thing is just allowing people to be who they are at that moment, meeting them there in that moment, and then walking side by side with them in their growth and their journey as a basketball player, as a person, as a teammate, and any other relationship they have in their life. And then knowing that, when you're in your 3rd, 4th, towards the end of the 3rd, 4th, 5th, they're very independent. They're very independent, and they're very in tune with who they are in all of those roles. And we've seen it, we've seen that firsthand with some of our players.
Yeah, I think we've had some remarkable stories of players coming out. And I think looking back, those are probably the proudest moments of like being a coach and knowing that even if it was just like a really small part, that I had a part of that.
Yeah, for sure. And you'll never really know until they're well out of your lives, as like the day-to-day stuff stops, right? You don't talk as much, you don't see them as much, but how you'll see from how they're moving on in their lives and the relationships they keep and the success they have. And a lot of that comes from the confidence of what they did in their athletic life. And we see those stories and stats and posts all the time that a female athlete that played on a team sport, I don't know the percentage or whatever, but it's a pretty good percentage that they become CEOs and bosses in their lives. And
Like 3 out of 5 or something.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Maybe even 4.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
so now as you begin your new chapter with Brock, congratulations, by the way.
Right.
What do you hope your players say about their experience with you 4 or 5 years from now, premeditating that you're going to be there for a little bit?
Yeah, I think it always comes down to the experience for me. Like, what did they enjoy those unique 4 or 5 years of being a varsity athlete, or was it just a complete miserable situation for them? If it's if you get some that are miserable in it, and you have to really look at yourself as a coach and say, well, am I impacting this? Am I being the barrier to their joy and interrupting their growth and development? And there's always these one-offs. And sometimes it's related to playing time and stuff like that. But for the most part, you want an athlete to go away saying, yeah, I had an incredible experience. I got better. They've stayed in touch with some of their teammates, and every now and then you get a text from somebody saying, hey, thanks for what you did, or happy birthday, or whatever. Those are the signs. So very similar. Nothing has changed in that regard for me as I transition from, the old Humber days to being an assistant coach for the last 2 years and now taking over the Brock program. It's really just about what role can I play, and as the head coach, and what can I do to help them have a great experience while they're with us.
So you've had like really good, great success in the men's game, and you decided to take over the women's game at Humber. Lucky for me, very grateful that happened. But what has kept you in the women's game?
I don't know. I don't know. I get asked that all the time. Somebody asked me once, why do you why coach women? And I don't look at it as a gender thing. I look at it as like, I just like to coach basketball. And if it is the guys' game, it's the guys' game. If it's the girls' game, it's the girls' game. But um, I think from a seeking out jobs perspective and being somebody that wants to be relevant in basketball as a coach and still figuring that stuff out for myself, I think you have to kind of ride the success that you've had. And I've had a tremendous amount, I guess not tremendous, but had a good run.
A national champ, yeah.
Yeah, we've had a good run, and just sort of, parlaying that into a future job is really, I guess, the strategy part of it. But if that future job came on the men's side, that's not something that I would look away and specifically say that I'm only a women's coach. I'm not.
And you just putting yourself as a basketball coach is something I definitely felt as a player, because when you came to coach us, I felt like I was being coached as an athlete and not just like, they're girls playing basketball. And I really appreciated that, because I saw you were an assistant with the men's side, and the men spoke so highly of you. I know that, and I know that's part of the reason why we were so excited for you to come in.
Yeah.
So I hope you know that you're looked highly upon in both sides of the game.
Yeah.
And whatever side gets you is a very lucky side.
Appreciate that. I just try to have, just try to make some friends along the way and have good relationships, and again, not take it too seriously. But really what got me into the women's game was I was at a point of saturation where I felt like I didn't want to be an assistant anymore. I had my own ideas about style of play, and Humber was always a great place to coach and work. And so I thought, there's a project there, there's a challenge there, and
we are the challenge.
and then, why not go back to a familiar place that really puts their arms around you and build it from there. And then we built it, you know, we built it. So yeah,
AJ,
it's
thank you so
great.
much for coming on. I appreciate it, even though I had to bully you a little bit. But thanks.
This wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, you know?
What did you think I was gonna do?
I don't know. Yeah, you know what it is? I just think I get this in my head, like, who cares what I think? Like, nobody, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm keeping this in here, by the way. I'm not editing that part out.
it's fine. I don't look at it like people need to hear what I think. I don't think like that. No, you don't.
I think that, and I think that's my whole like podcast, and I always put like quotes around it. Even if it's just one person that something resonates with, like this isn't, we're not, no one's making money off of this, especially, you know, in Canada. But if you can hit one person that's struggling or make something resonate, I think that's really important. And you have so much success and experience, and you have lots of great things to say. Why not say it?
Yeah. And I said, I'll say this to you, but if anybody reaches out to you and they want my contact information, I much rather those one-on-one conversations and sharing ideas that way. And I think if I can shortcut somebody's growth a little bit in the game and point them in the right direction, I wish I had that when I was younger. And I'm here to do that. You know, it's the least I can do.
I think that's what separates you. And I even said this to Megan. There's very few people that are willing to put themselves out there and to continuously try to mentor other people, especially in this game. You got to keep good people around it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's one of the best ways to learn is to have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, you know, and get the honest answers.
All right, who's winning today, Canada or Bosnia?
Canada.
Spurs or Knicks?
Down 3-1. I'm gonna go Spurs. I'm gonna go Spurs.
So you're a Spurs guy.
Yeah.
There's a bias there.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I'm gonna say Spurs.
All right. You're loyal. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you so much, AJ.
Hey, this was great. Thanks. Let's get pizza soon. Bye.